Alright, this will be our Wednesday's review. We won't be going over Thursday because that was Thanksgiving, but this would just be for Wednesday. Okay. So starting out the day, we have a push-up from Asia session. Let's actually zoom in here, show you where it actually opened up. Okay, we have our in dog, which we draw from where price closed at to where it opens. Right. So we have our in dog, price taps into it a couple times and then respects 50% CE of the in dog for it to push up into New York PM. And this is all because of the draw being the daily gap above. Okay, so price expands upwards, creating a 4-hour BISI where price taps back into London session. Okay, so London session taps into it, takes out London low right before tapping into it. We get a slight push up and another push down, leaving New York AM low. Since we're bullish, this is a protected low, right? It also confirms this at the 4-hour BISI, right? But before all that, since we have the BISI, price expands, right? It's telling us we're in a bullish environment, right? We have the daily gap above, correct? So we can say that London high was our session draw going into the morning, right? Okay. So price reaches this draw, right, and taps into the 088 of the daily wick. I'll go back, show you. And it's 088 of this level, of this wick right here, right? So it's that level right here. I drew it from there because it was the first daily wick that we are tapping into, correct? Because look, we have a daily gap right here, 2 previous day's highs inside, right? So we're bullish, of course, but we can still draw the quadrants out to see how we're reacting inside of them, right? And this just happened to be a manipulation tap into, which is fine. Especially, I was thinking there's going to be a Wednesday's reversal to attack Asia low. I was wrong. You know, sometimes we're wrong, but price does tell us the story. Tells us that we are bullish. I did take a couple losses though. With that said, I shorted before London high right here. This was a pure psychology thing for me. I guess I won it sometime in the past shorting it like this, but did not work out like that. Alright, so looking on the 5-minute going into the morning, right, this is 7:15, 8 o'clock is right here. Let's look if we had any news. Pretty sure we did. Okay, and we have 8:30 news on this day. So we have 8 o'clock right there. We're going to draw out our news candle as well. Oh, I drew it at 8:30. Okay, well, we'll just keep it there then. Okay, let's put news on there. Okay. Okay, Okay, so going into the morning, this is obviously, in my opinion, a very hard day to trade with no real clean setups, but we'll go over it nonetheless. Okay, so from here, we know we have 8:30 news, right? So we have to wait until that news candle, that news driver, or at least the setup for it. Okay. I'm gonna zoom into the 1 minute right here. This is Thursday's price action. Let's go to Wednesday's, so we have a more clear understanding what's going on and where we like opened up in the day. From waking up at like 8 a.m. So from here, we have already stated that this is a protected low, especially since it ran so bullishly up through the gap, right? Which is already a busy. Price does respect CE right here, actually multiple times, but we'll talk about that, right? And we have true day open here as well. Okay, so the macro, of course, key time with the key price being that true day opening right here. We have a very clean tap in to push price up into the session draw, which is London high. Okay. There's not much more to really say about this run. It's if you weren't able to catch it right here, then I don't think you'll be able to catch it at all. We do have, we can go over this next macro, which is not clean in my opinion. Let's see if these are equal. No, they are. Yeah, so again, not very clean price action. We have equal lows that they become protected. Just in this case, literally just in this case, this is very hard PA because we can see that price has equal lows and a wickless candle above. So meaning this candle, this run down is inefficient, right? Meaning that price is gonna want to retap not only this gap but the high, the wickless, because that's like equal as well, right? We look, the closing price is the same as the high on this candle, right? Or the open price, my bad. So if we actually look, we have an open of 214.25, right? And a high of 214.25. So this is equal and equal. And since price was bullish, this macro did not tap into this equal lows, but rather the equal highs to send it into the session draw, which is London high. Okay. Let's look back on the hour. Jesus. Why is it all the way back here? Okay. It's cool. Right. So we have the daily gap, we have previous day's highs over here and over here. Okay, so these have now both become the draw, right? Let's mark them out. And this one with the London high above is more important rather than the one below it, just because it's a session draw as well. Okay. So let's go back down. So price, runs up, it taps the session draw. Okay. Now the next key time just happens to be at the 0.88 level of the daily wick, right before the gap, right, which produces a manipulation leg back down into the 4-hour SIBI, right, to stomp out these traders right here, these buyers within here, still keeping, New York AM low protected, right, but stomping out, most traders in here, So, and this is not really clean, but it did happen. We had the double tap in, right here. This macro confirms a little bit of downside price action, retracement, a manipulation leg, whatever you want to call it, back down into the 4-hour SIBI, or BISI, my bad, right? Fills it out completely because it wants to stomp them out. Any trader who was thinking about going long at the wrong time. So we're going to zoom in on the 1 minute. And that was allowed to happen because the session draw had been made, right? So session draw has been made. This macro retracement, this manipulation leg down into the BISI, right? And then right after, let's see if this is close to a 30. It's 25. Look at the 30 right here. Okay. So let's go over how you would trade this. Okay. So of course this macro, the entry would be at true day open, of course, for you to go and hold all the way till the session draw of London high, right? Just kind of trusting that the narrative will complete its draw up here. It can be scary, of course, with this price action because we have the equal lows right here and right here, and this is just a setup for a potential Wednesday's reversal, at least a deep retracement, right, off of this level right here, including the macro time. So key time, key price, key time, key price, right, and right here is like you have to follow the model, and the model is that these are protected in this case, right, for price to respect this eventually, right? It does have a few stop out moves, of course. Price is going to wiggle around, especially on a day like this, but it does offer a SISD entry, right, with the gap, which is pretty good. Now, basic model right here. If you can't get in right here, if you don't trust it, you can wait until another key time, and you can even wait for the SISD plus the gap and get in right here. Okay. So if you got in right here, you hold until the session draw has been made. If you got in right here, you do the same thing. Yeah. So once the session draw has been made, we enter another key time, which is our 950, which can, it's from time to time, or 950 to 1010, or just 10 o'clock in general can leave high or lower a day. So this just feeds into market sentiment and gives us a manipulation leg. Pretty good one, pretty hefty one, of course, but it was just a manipulation leg. That was it. This has the multiple tap-in confirmation as well. So 8-8 of the wick, tap in, stop them out, and we run, right, for the manipulation down. Right here, if you want to wait for, I mean, this is a model, but it's the same thing. You have assist D with the gap, right? So we have that, tap in that assist D. Oh, no, we missed it right there, but it's fine. We can keep going until, because now we're entering the daily gap. We said that this was to draw mainly this first one, and then finally that one right up in here. Okay. So we respect the 4-hour BISI. We push up, create sys-D with the gap, push up again, and we enter the 1050 macro. Okay. And this is a 5-minute right here. So 1050 macro holds up the 5-minute gap right here, right? If you want to draw, it probably doesn't even tap CE. Oh no, it does. Okay, so it taps 50%, which is the stop out move, if you want to call it on the lower time frames, whatever. But it is really just a draw on liquidity from the Dillon range, right? Let's go. My fault. So from CE to the start of the manipulation leg, price taps back in the 50%, right? With the order block right here. So this key time just confirms all that, right? We have order block, at 50%, price is respecting this 5-minute gap at the macro time, right? And right here we probably have a, IFVG, right? And now, and the draw being first that previous day high, and the second previous day highs, right? And we see this clean tap into and push up at the daily gap low right here, right? So price reaches its draw, right? And we start the macro time, right? The macro retracement. So price wanted to, in order not to tap into CE of here, it had to run out its internal stops, right? Because we tapped into a draw on liquidity, right? So once we reach a draw, we're going to go into some accumulation phase, right? So with that said, if we're going into accumulation phase, this wick fill was not going to fill all the way at this given time, right? It needed to stop out early sellers in this accumulation phase, right? So we accumulate, we have our stop out move that produces New York lunch high, right? Before CE, because it doesn't want to tap that because we reached a draw on liquidity already, right? So once it leaves it here, it was allowed to run down. Let's see what level. Back into the daily gap low. Okay. So again, remember that we have on the lower end of the gap, right? And that happens at the 0.618 level as well, so it's pretty good right here if you were looking for some Wednesday's reversal, which doesn't really produce anything but to the low, right? It's just because Thanksgiving's the next day, you know, volatility is pretty much cut off. You shouldn't be really trading any of this. So the draw, it reached this draw on the low for the day, so we accumulate for the rest of the time, right? Staying here, referencing back and forth, search and destroy style. These quadrant levels, we hit the low, we go back up, we go at lower, we go back up, right? Producing, you know, stack session draws right here for you know, later in time. So going into like Thursday, it's not super important. This is Thanksgiving. You shouldn't be trading this, but this is the reason why we have stack session draws up, you know, before CE were price manipulated previously, right? If we look on the 5-minute, we have our, you know, double tapping confirmation right there, you know, push down. Then we push up, manipulate traders leaving these stack session draws, right? Push down back into the low, leaving this low as well, for price to eventually take that and complete a market maker buy model within here, right? We have sell side of the curve taking out London low, right? Leaving New York AM low to take it out in an ATM style. All right, we left it, boom, boom. We take New York AM high to reverse and take back New York AM low, right? All at the same time, producing sell side of the curve into the buy side of the curve, taking the last low below the daily gap, right? In order to push price higher towards the stack session draws up here, right? So that was our Wednesday's review, and a little bit of Thursday's review. I hope it made some sense. If not, it's okay. This is for personal review anyways. Yeah. Going into Friday, you shouldn't really be trading, just because it's a holiday week. You know, last day of the week, we already getting volume and volatility cut off. I'm not really expecting any great moves other than some consolidation and maybe bigger ranges, but nothing too crazy. As of right now, I do think that we head higher for these stack session draws, right, which is previous day high, which is like current day high. That's what you want to call it. Look on the day. I mean, okay, it's not current day high, but previous day's high, currently type thing. I do think that it needs to reach into this daily gap and start attacking some of the higher end levels. Right. Push up mainly to attack this wick right up in here on the 4-hour and the levels. You can even use 75%, 25%, it's all the same. Yeah. On the 4-hour, it looks pretty clean. Not a real hard read, but you know, you gotta execute it right. If you don't execute it right, then you know, there's no point in having a good read. I did lose $500 on this day, which is fine because this is a learning lesson, but you know, sad. it's the same thing right down here as well. Other than the fact that we didn't take New York AM low because it was protected, just the way it played out with the 4-hour gap in between them, basically. This is like a little bit more predictable. This, you can wait for, this right here. If you wanted to get in, you don't have to get in down here because you don't really know if that's going to happen. But once it proves that it does happen, right, then you can use key price and key time to get in. Yeah. So that has been Wednesday's review.